Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to Embrace the Question. Steve here, and we are going to revisit a scene from The Chosen because it came up as a question in the chats. And I love the question, personally. You will know probably very quickly what this is all about when we roll the clip. Before we get started, if you are new here, welcome. And if you are not new here, welcome. If you haven't visited my blog, the notes section below this video will have the link to that blog in it. Please check it out. There's some good stuff out there. I update the blog more often than I update videos because, one, it's quicker and I can do it on the road. But without any more hesitation, let's take a look at this clip. And as you watch, see if you can figure out what the question will be.
Cannot be hid. And if it were nighttime, Zebedee wouldn't light his lamp and put it under a basket. He'd put it on the stand where it could light us all.
Jesus of Nazareth!
Over there.
I saw what you did to the leper on the road this morning. My friend has been paralyzed since childhood. He has no hope but you. Please, do for him what you did for the leper.
That's a rope!
Put it back, man.
If you are willing, Rabbi, I know you can do this.
What you wanted. Get out your tablet at least. Harry! Is he in danger?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
He's got room in there?
Yes.
Can you believe we're really here for this?
Yes.
Down.
You! By whose authority do you teach? Answer me!
If you are willing, Rabbi, you know you can.
Hey, I'm talking to you! By whom do you teach? Certainly not the authority of any rabbi from Nazareth. Where did you study?
Your faith is beautiful. Son, take heart. Your sins are forgiven. Who is this who speaks blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God alone? Right. But I ask you, which is easier to say? Your sins are forgiven, or rise up and walk? It's easy to say anything, no? But to show you, and so that you may know that the Son of Man has the authority on earth to forgive sins. I say to you, my son, rise, pick up your bed, and go home. Easy does it. Thank you. Now go on.
Glory God! Let's run to the public peace!
All right. Did you guess the question? That was truly one of the great scenes in season 1, one of my favorites. I've talked about it at least once, probably twice. It was in my list of favorite scenes in season 1, so twice. But the question that was asked was, what was the connection between the healing of the paralytic and the authority of Jesus? And the forgiveness of sins, I should add. That was part of the question, and I'm not reciting it perfectly. But what was the connection between forgiveness of sins and the healing of the paralytic? Okay. Well, I do love the scene. It has been a love of mine for a long time. It was on the cover of my book. I had it actually drawn. Well, I told them what the book was about, and an artist drew what he thought was a great rendition of that particular chapter, which comes out of Mark 2. One thing that is particularly well done about what The Chosen did was, in Mark 2, you have the story of the healing of the paralytic who's lowered down through the roof. And then, right after that, you have the calling of Matthew. That's exactly what happens here. In fact, we find Matthew on the roof, absent-mindedly eating grapes out of the bowl, which he would never do if he were really paying attention. One of the awesome things about that particular scene. But let's talk about the question. What is the connection between the Son of Man having the authority to forgive sin and to heal? You can fake one, but you cannot fake the other. Anybody can say, your sins are forgiven. I forgive your sins. And there's a lot of Christians that would say, well, that in itself is wrong. That's a blasphemous thing to say. But Jesus, talking about authority here, gave his people authority to forgive sin. He gave his followers authority to forgive sin. You see, forgiveness of sin is not an issue of desire or willpower. It's an issue of authority. That's something that isn't taught much. That's something that most Christians don't realize. But you have a very unique ability to forgive sin. John 20, and he breathed upon them and said, whoever sins you remit will be remitted. Whoever sins you retain will be retained. So you have the ability to forgive sin. What does that mean in the eternal scope? I'm not really sure. I tend to think that as we are an extension of him on the earth, we are his body, right? Then when we forgive someone, that forgiveness is loosed in heaven. Basically, it's not held against them because they are forgiven of that. And if we forgive someone of something that God is not forgiving them for, then what good is our forgiveness? Do you understand the logic there? There is also this theme of when we cannot forgive ourselves, When we can't forgive ourselves, then we cannot receive healing. Jesus tells the man who is the paralytic, "Son, your sins are forgiven." To which all of the scribes in the room, their jaws drop because they believe this to be blasphemy. But it was an important first step of the healing process, because when a person believes that his affliction is because of what he did, because of his unforgiven nature, then he is in no place to receive healing. So first, Jesus said, "Your sins are forgiven." And then he said, "Take up your bed, take up your mat, and walk." So again, the issue of forgiveness is an issue of authority, and we find Shmuel, the man we all love to hate, screaming at him, "Who gives you the authority to do this?" And that was a common question thrown at Jesus. By whom did you get this authority? That came all the way back from the times of Moses, when Moses was advised by his father-in-law to split up his responsibilities amongst the elders in the tribes. In order to choose these elders, choose these men to delegate to, there would be so many, there would be at least 2 witnesses that said, this person has the authority to take this load from Moses. We have this idea that in order to be a person of authority, you had to have received it from someone else, and there had to be witnesses. There were certain people in our society that had the authority. John the Baptist was considered one of those. We also have mention of other rabbis with authority like Gamaliel, Shammai. Those guys all had authority. Jesus also had authority, but he drove them crazy because they didn't know where he received it from. One of the voices that gave him that authority was when Jesus came up out of the waters and the heavens ripped apart, and the voice comes down from heaven saying, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased." That was one of the voices of affirmation for Jesus' authority. But they would come up all the time and ask him, "Where did you get your authority?" To which he would often reply, "Where did John get his authority?" Remember, he could answer a question with a question. Well, they believed that John had authority. So they couldn't respond to that question with, well, John didn't have the authority. Because, 1, they believed he did, but 2, all of the crowd believed he did. So if they said he didn't, the crowd was liable to hurt them. So they didn't dare say, well, John doesn't have authority. So they would typically say, well, we don't know where John got his authority. And Jesus would then answer, then I don't have to tell you where I got my authority either. Jesus knew he had them over a barrel, so to speak. So he was the master at manipulating, return manipulation to the scribes and the Pharisees. Another part that's actually in the scriptures in Mark 2 is Jesus read their minds exactly. Why do you ask in your heart, why does this man blaspheme when he says he can forgive sins? It's actually in quotes. So he literally read those words from their mind, which is an amazing thing. And they reenacted it very well here, because he looked squarely at Shmuel and he says the same thing. Why do you ask in your heart? Who speaks these blasphemies about having the ability to forgive sins? Now, I told you that it's a question of authority, but this is where the rubber meets the road, you see, because anybody can say your sins are forgiven. And you'll walk away thinking, well, maybe they are, maybe they're not. I won't know on this side of heaven whether that person really had any ability to forgive sins or not. What I do know immediately, what you can't fake, is healing. So Jesus says, just so you'll know that I have the ability to forgive sins, I'm going to heal this man. because I can't fake that. And if I have the ability to heal this man and he stands up, then you'll also know that I have the ability to forgive his sin. If I don't heal him, then you're going to have to take my word for the fact that his sins are forgiven. But if I do heal him, he will stand up and walk out of here, and you'll know that I had power. That's something that took me a little while to figure out. That was a bit of study and a bit of listening to commentary to figure all of that out. And now it makes perfect sense to me. The other thing that I really like about that is, and we see it portrayed perfectly in this scene of The Chosen, is that when Jesus did this, it drew a line. His power always draws a line in the sand, which drives some people away from him and pulls other people right into him. For instance, when he did the healing, Shmuel was furious and he calls the guards. But when he did the healing, Nicodemus got a faint grin on his face, like he had just witnessed God himself. So there you go. I love that part about the scene. It's actually a very well done scene. Even the artistic additions to it were really well done. Well, that was what I wanted to discuss today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. In future videos, I want you to know that there are some obstacles coming, because most of my videos in season 2 had copyright claims against the music that was going on beneath. That music sometimes can be removed, but sometimes when they go in and try to remove it or mute just the music, it also messes up the speech in the video. So I don't know what we're facing with season 3 yet. I am hopeful that there won't be an immediate claim on all of the music in season 3. We will see. We'll see how it goes. But visit the blog. Hope you guys stay healthy. It's still winter, so stay warm, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.